Hello everyone, I'm Kibin Alleyne and today is Tuesday, June 13th. You are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. The Bronx Economic Development Corporation is on a mission to better the Bronx. The BXEDC launched an environmental challenge awarding up to $1 million to a Bronx-based university for the development of a project that encourages sustainability. In addition to this challenge, the organization also makes the effort to address issues facing small Bronx businesses. Joining me to discuss these efforts is Interim President of the BXEDC, Rob Walsh, and the Director of Small Business and Community Outreach, Marshall Strawbridge. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So can we just talk about your organization just as a whole? Can you tell me a little bit more about the Bronx Economic Development Corporation?
Sure. Well, it's a nonprofit organization, and what we do is pretty simple. It's promoting growth, it's promoting community building, and creating opportunities in the Bronx, throughout the Bronx. Whether it's colleges and universities, small businesses, our cultural attractions, the Yankees. And what we do is look to get capital access in the hands of small businesses and large businesses looking to build in the Bronx.
Now, I mentioned the Bronx Green Action Challenge, which it sounds pretty cool, like just hearing it. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the challenge and what it's all about?
My favorite project, and Marshall was the one that led the effort, but I'm going to take credit for it. This was, on our colleges and university campuses, and we have 12 of them throughout the Bronx. A lot of people don't realize the strength and involvement and engagement of our colleges and universities. We have more than 50,000, college students. I think that the student bodies are far ahead of the faculty, if you will, and many residents in thinking about sustainability and climate control. So we had a grant from the New York Power Authority that gave us a lot of flexibility. And Marshall and I sat down around a conference room table one day and said, where would this have the most catalytic impact? And we thought about the work that was being done at a lot of colleges, universities to tackle the issue of climate change. So here's what we're doing. We're putting $1 million on the table, and we're saying to colleges and universities, very simple, what are you doing right now? What are you doing on solar? What are you doing on electric cars? What are you doing on reducing waste? And what more would you do if you were awarded $1 million? And you could imagine $1 million is getting a lot of attention.
Right.
You have anything to add?
Yeah, could you add just about, the importance of kind of like focusing on colleges and, the inspiration behind that?
Sure. So one of the things that we, that led us to focus on colleges was the fact that they are a critical part of the Bronx economy. There's over 50,000 college students in the Bronx. Our colleges and universities collectively are one of the largest employment sectors. So we really saw this as an opportunity to partner with institutions that have a strong foothold in the Bronx and encourage them to build connections with the community. So part of our evaluation for who will receive the money is how good of a job they do with partnering with community-based organizations around their campuses to drive this forward.
And I think that's an important point. And I think it's, when people think about jobs and they think about opportunities, they don't often think about higher education in the Bronx. And what we wanted to do is put a greater spotlight on some of the activity, but we also wanted to spark innovation and creativity. I was at an event last night where someone was saying they wanted to bring wind power to the Bronx. Could you imagine some of these colleges and helping with that? Manhattan College right over the hill has an engineering school, of teaming up with companies like that want to invest in the Bronx and create good jobs. And I think that's what it's all about.
And I mean, I also really like the fact that there is a focus on universities and colleges in the Bronx, because I think when people think of the Bronx, they're not automatically thinking like there's so much talent and just greatness here in the borough. So I love that aspect of it. I also really want to, you guys are doing so many things. I also want to touch on the fact that you recently issued an RFP for a storefront improvement project. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that project?
Well, I'll give you the beginning, and Marshall will give you the details of it. When you think about economic development and you think about our main streets, our main corridors, 149th Street, Fordham Road, and so many others, you think about the look of it and the quality of is this an attractive place? Do I want to be here? And storefronts is that first impression. We had money from the state through a revitalization grant, and Marshall hit the ground running to develop a program with the state.
And I also want to talk about, how does the program address small business challenges that are happening right here in the Bronx?
Sure. So one thing I will note is that storefront improvement, the look and feel of a small business, is only one part of the challenges that small businesses are facing. But this is an area where we had the money to intervene and maybe make a difference here. So the RFP that we issued is for a community-based organization for us to partner with, because what we're really wanting to do is put together a cohort of businesses that make up a cohesive commercial corridor. And we're really going to lean on the expertise and the connections of the community-based organizations that we end up partnering with to help us with that. We're also going to be leaning on them to support with getting businesses to submit their applications. This is a very sweet deal for businesses, I think, and I can share a little bit more about that. But it's not an easy ask to apply and put together a proposal for a review for us. So we're hoping to get support from community-based organizations within the revitalization area on that piece. But just to point towards how this benefits small businesses, we are looking to do 2 tiers of programs. One is for smaller investments of $10,000 to $15,000, maybe updating the point of sale systems or the front desk and smaller projects. And then there's the $20,000 to $50,000 tier, which is for more comprehensive storefront transformations. This is different from a lot of the storefront improvement programs that have been done in the city, in that, one, it goes up to $50,000. And in most cases, the improvement programs will cover programs up to $20,000 to $25,000. And usually the best matching programs you'll see are 50% matches. We're matching 80% of the program costs and only asking for 20% from businesses. And we're also working with the Business Initiative Corporation to put together funding options for them to cover the 20% that they're on the hook for.
Now, who can actually apply, for this?
We're going to be working through community-based organizations. So the community-based organizations will be our conduit to many of the smaller mom and pop shops that make up a retail corridor. So anyone along those retail corridors, and we're going to be focusing on, the coffee shops, the restaurants, the shoe repair, folks. And as Marshall said, collectively, that'll make a heck of a difference along these retail corridors. And it's in a certain catchment area that is eligible.
It's south of 165th Street, down to 139th Street, between the Harlem River and St. Anne's Avenue.
So we've reached out to all the community-based organizations in that area.
And I want to know, what does this mean? What will it look like for people walking by? Because I think if you're not in the business, you're probably you don't know what a storefront is, or you don't know what that entails. So what would that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And and I have a little bit of experience. I was small business commissioner during the Bloomberg administration, and then after Hurricane Sandy, we had to rebuild a number of corridors. And I use the Rockaways as an example for the Bronx, if I can. And sometimes you don't notice that there was an enhancement and improvement, but you're saying, boy, there's something attractive about this place. And there's something attractive when a store owner puts a little bit extra. And sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's removing what I would say is clutter and having some straight lines and maybe blade signs. And if you're doing this in concert with other storefront owners, collectively, it has a greater impact.
Now, I want to talk about this before we, run out of time, the Community Advantage Loan Program.
Big one.
Can you talk about that and, what that's all about?
Big one. This is an SBA, Small Business Administration, through the federal government. We are one of 3, I believe, in New York State that have this. And what it does, it's a federal-backed loan, which will allow us to reach those small businesses looking for $5,000 up to $350,000. That's a sweet spot. A lot of the larger banks, by the way, and smaller banks don't lend money to. They don't lend money because a lot of those are first-time entrepreneurs, and they don't have the credit. So this program allows us to lean in helping small businesses with capital access. The biggest issue, I believe, in the Bronx right now for businesses. And
can you expand on that a little bit more too?
Sure. One of the main benefits that'll be visible to small business owners is the flexibility that they'll have in how they're able to spend the money. So most of our lending programs now are not eligible to be used for regular operating expenses and certain procurement expenses. And so with Community Advantage Program, businesses will have a lot more flexibility in terms of how they can use this money for their day-to-day needs.
Now, these are so many things. It's very ambitious, and I love to hear that there's just like so much happening in the Bronx, and there's so much growth and development that's happening in the Bronx. What inspires you both to, it's a lot of work. What inspires you both to keep on doing it?
Well, I've been in this business a long time, and when you have an organization, and by the way, thank you on that compliment, I'll take it, is when you put people together around the table in the Bronx, the character, the diversity, the innovation, that commitment really comes out clear. Later on today, actually tomorrow, we're going down to Alexander Avenue, in Mott Haven, and looking at a couple of projects. We'll be up at Fordham Road, Arthur Avenue, wherever it is. Bringing people together is what inspires me to think big.
That's amazing. And then could you quickly just tell us what inspires you?
Sure. It's been clear to me since I came to the Bronx to go to Manhattan College in 2017 that the Bronx is a place that's transforming and really becoming a beautiful and vibrant economy. And I think that since my time there, and out of college, I worked for the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition, and really have a passion for ensuring that the transformation that happens is one that benefits Bronxites. And so I think that what we're doing is certainly pursuant to that goal.
Well, I want to thank you both so much for joining us.
And thank you very much for helping us get the word out. Appreciate it.
Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open right after this.